Hey Clover fam, welcome back to my channel. Today I have something super exciting for you. I've got another guest for our channel. Today we're going to be talking to Timmya and Logan. Logan wants to say hello, of course, always. She can't handle it. She can't handle the attention anywhere else. Timmya will be sharing her journey from going into the Peace Corps with almost $80,000 in debt and transitioning back home and deciding to get debt free. Her story is super awesome. Did you just cough? She's just coughing in my face because she's overexcited. But we're gonna be talking about her debt-free journey and how she got started after working in the Peace Corps for a couple of years and what her turning point was for her. So if you haven't checked out the blog yet, the blog is up as well. So if you prefer reading and if that's your jam, that's gonna be in the link below. Get ready because I had a great chat with her and I can't wait to share with you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and before we get into it, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to hit subscribe if you want to see more of these videos with guests of people sharing what they spend in a month as a XX millennial in XX is their age, millennial in so-and-so cities. So thank you so much for watching and enjoy. We're here with Timmya and we are going to talk about her personal finances today. If you haven't already read the blog post over up on the bear, you can go check that out, but we're also going to talk about pretty much the same things here today. First, thank you so much for coming on to my channel today. I'm super excited to have you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
First, can you introduce yourself? Tell us where you're from and kind of what you do and how you got into personal finance, really.
Okay, well, my name is Timmya. Currently, I live in Georgia, but I'm from Buffalo, New York. I basically got into like finances. Well, I was in Peace Corps and I wanted to stay longer, but the way that my student debt was looking in my bank account, it was not having it. I talked to my sister, who I will say is the person that really got me involved in like finances, because she actually paid off her student debt. And so like I talked to her and she was like, okay, she gave me a list of books and things to read. And I never really did like paid attention to it. But then fast forward, when I moved back to Buffalo after the Peace Corps, I got a new job and then I relocated here to Georgia. And then I really was like, okay, now it's time to buckle down. And then a whole year went past and I didn't. And I think part of that was just because I was readjusting to life again. I was away for 2 years and now I'm back working full time. Before, it was just like my schedule was just do as you please, kind of sporadic. I didn't really have set hours. So, you know, that adjustment and then also living in a new place, adapting to, you know, life here in the US again. After about a year of doing that, I decided, okay, I got a raise at my job. And I was like, okay, now's the time to really, you know, take control and really do my finances. Because for some people, they look at their debt and it doesn't bother them. And I wish I was one of those individuals. But every time I saw that number, I had just like this huge weight of anxiety. And it just was like, it was haunting me, you know? And so I was like, okay, we got to get it together.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like so many people personal finance is personal. So it's like, some people are totally fine, like you said, looking at that number and being like, whatever, I'll pay it off when I'm dead. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but it's all about like how you feel with it and what your risk preference is for that. So for you, your goal to become debt free and then start investing, or what's kind of your financial goals right now?
Definitely the main focus right now is to become debt free. And I started off my debt free journey with actually saving 6 months of emergency fund because of the pandemic and possibly being furloughed, and everything was kind of up in the air, and still it's kind of like we don't know where we're moving, you know, how we're moving with this. So I decided I was going to, you know, save money first, and then this year it's like, okay, now I'm going to, the money that I was saving was about $1,200 a month, so it's like now I'm going to move ahead and do that $1,200 to paying off my debt. So I have my emergency fund, and I actually don't have a vehicle, so I saved up the end of the year as well to get a used vehicle that I'm going to be buying like within the next few weeks or so. You know, after you save the money, it's kind of hard to spend it.
You get that, like you're trigger shy. You're like, I can't, if I do it, I'm going to lose it forever. And I worked so hard to get it.
Right. So I felt like that, but I'm also still, you know, investing in regards to like saving for retirement. So I do 5% of my monthly income, and then my employer matches 5% as well. So I'm doing that. And then after I'm debt free, which should be about 4 years, I'm going to go and, move into what they call like the fire, and try to definitely get my net worth up and, invest as much as possible and try to retire a lot younger than what the expectation
yeah, exactly.
of retirement here in the US. So it's like, I want to retire young, and even if I don't retire young, I want to retire with money in the bank. So I'm not like having to work or, have to worry about things financially. If I have, children, things of that nature, I'd be able to give to them if they need things. So it's really about just having that financial freedom, just having the ability to do more for yourself and others.
We kind of fast forward to what your goals are now, and I want to rewind because you have such an interesting story. So when you graduated college and you decided to do the Peace Corps, at the time that you were making that decision, was your student loan debt like a worry that almost prevented you from doing it? Or how did you kind of determine like, okay, I'm going to do this even though I have student loan debt? And like, how did you come to the decision that this was the right move for you then? Because I think a lot of people can relate to having to say no to opportunities because of our student loan debt. And personally, when I remember when I graduated college, it was in 2012. It was right when everything like was slowly starting to recover from the recession. And I had really wanted to teach abroad in Spain, but I couldn't because it was like, to teach abroad in Spain, you had to pay to get there. You had to pay for a course. You had to pay for like all of these different things. And then they would only give you like a stipend for $700 a month that wouldn't even, cover my expenses. So I guess, what was that decision-making process like for you when you did graduate?
Graduated from grad school in 2015. And even before then, like I always wanted to do Peace Corps, but it was always like, okay, education, get your master's. I got my, my bachelor's of social work. And then there's like this, this saying in social work, like you don't make any money, you don't make any money in social work. And so it's like always advised to go ahead and get your master's. So right after I got my bachelor's, I went right ahead and I decided to get my master's. I did like an advanced standing program. And I said to myself, like, okay, I really want to do this. And the Peace Corps application is like, the process can take like up to a year. I just kind of applied, and my thinking was, okay, after I graduate, I was going to work, which I did. I worked full time for about, 8 months. Then when I found out that I was going to the Peace Corps, I did look at like financially, like my loans and how that would impact me. But pretty much the program, the public service loan forgiveness program, it was like, okay, well, you'll do your 2 years in Peace Corps and that will count towards that federal program. And that program basically says like after 10 years of service in like the federal government, nonprofit, they will forgive your loans. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll do that and that'll be fine. So because when I was working, my salary was literally maybe like $15 an hour. And when I was in school, I was working part-time. They base your monthly payments based on your income. So my payments towards my student loans were $0, and the interest was piling up. And I really didn't think too much of it because I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll do Peace Corps that 2 years, and then I'll come back and I'll work a full-time job. I'm a social worker. So, I'll get a job in social work and things of that nature. And then I'll have loan forgiveness, in the matter of 10 years. That was the thought process going in. And then while I was in Peace Corps, again, because I wasn't making any salary, my payments were $0 towards my student debt. So I think towards the end, and just having, again, those conversations with my sister towards the end of my Peace Corps service in like 2018, I started to look at that number, and it just literally was like increasing. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I owe $75,000, or I think it was like $76,000, and I had borrowed $59,000, which still was too much, especially in the situation I was in where, I had the opportunity to stay at home. My mom, took care of me, and I still took out, student loans. So I was like, okay, this number is really increasing. And then with the public service loan forgiveness program, those articles start coming out in 2017 about people who were applying, and it was like a 1% acceptance rate. And so I'm like, I'm putting two and two together. So 2018, and again, another article comes out, only 1% of people who applied to that program were actually eligible to get loan forgiveness. And I was like, yeah, no, because I just couldn't imagine myself 8 years, 9 years, 10 years at that, making payments. Then all of a sudden they say, okay, you didn't follow the directions of the program,
Mm-hmm. Which I think so many people are unfortunately are banking on. And then like you see that 1% and it's like, oh, cool. So I did this and I'm working in a lower paying industry, literally
Exactly.
with this promise that I'm going to get it's all going to be worth it. But then it's just like, no, just kidding. What was the turning point for you when you were like, okay, so it sounds like it started in 2018 when you're like, oh, well, I'm probably not going to get my loans forgiven. So I got to come up with a plan B. Was there another turning point for you as well?
I really would say the turning point for me was still when I was in Peace Corps, when I really was like, I wanted to stay a third year, and I had an opportunity to teach at like the potentially stay another year with either Peace Corps or stay with the local university here and teach social work. And I was looking at my debt and I was just like, this is not going to work. And so that was at that moment I had that realization. I was like, man, my debt is holding me back from things that I really want to pursue in life. And again, you have some people who will be like, okay, well, that doesn't faze me. I'm just going to live my life and, do as I please. But for me personally, like I said, I had that anxiety, that stress of that number growing. And when will I ever be able to pay it off?
Right.
So I really decided, like when I came back home and once I got myself situated with a job and everything like that, then that's when I really decided, okay, now here's a time I have income. I want to start paying this off. And it was very much like that. So it was really no goals, no anything. I didn't have anything written down. It's just like, okay, I'm going to start paying off my student debt because it sounded good, and it's something that my sister had did. And I was like, I was like the little sister following behind the big sister. I was like, my sister did it, so I want to do it too. But I really didn't set myself up to reach that goal in 2019. So when 2020 came around, I was like, boom, I'm really going to. Yeah, I was like, this is my year. And, I met with a good friend of mine. She has her business where she does like financial education, real estate, and her name is Maya. And she sat down with me and she like made a plan. She gave me like a calculator so I can calculate, the interest on my loans and when they would be paid off. When she gave me that, I really hadn't paid. Well, when she first gave me that, I really hadn't like applied the information. But when 2020 came around, I was like, okay, once I got that raise, I was like, no, I can't just continue to burn money like this. Mm-hmm. And so I had entered 2020. I read one of Dave Ramsey's book. I think we all know who he is.
Starts with Dave Ramsey.
I read one of his books and I was like, okay, I'm going to save. I just threw out the number $5,000 just to have like my emergency fund because that's just sounded like a good number to me. I didn't really have no method to the madness. But then March came around and then boom, everything was shutting down. And then I was just like, okay. And then I was like, everybody's job is like furloughing them. People are being laid off. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was really pessimistic about the whole idea. And I was like, I'm next, So I was like, okay, we're going to change this to 6 months of emergency funding. And, my sister told me, she actually introduced me to like the debt-free community. And so I was like, oh, I think I should do a page, and, share my story. And I was like, but I'm going to wait till after I find out if I'm going to be furloughed or not. And she was like, no, that's part of the story. Like if it happens, you're going to have you're going to be able to share that and you're going to be able to, let people know that this is life, and how you're able to overcome that.
That's such good advice. So your sister is already a debt-free community fire nerd. So how did she discover it?
I think she discovered because I remember her telling me the story briefly, and I don't want to like quote her story tell her story, but piece of it was like she was talking to a coworker, and she was pretty much, the coworker introduced her to Dave Ramsey. And you know how Dave Ramsey have like that phone call, like you could call in. Mm-hmm. So it's like she like randomly called in and got through to him. Yeah. And like, I think she talked to him about some things or whatever. And, she just aggressively paid off her student debt. And then after, paying that student debt off, she just went, into, building her retirement account. So,
yeah. That's that you have that like connection, and that not only is it like you doing the fire path, but you have somebody who's really close to you doing it as well. So it's like, you've got that community, but like a in real life community.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference because it's like I'm comfortable talking to my family about money. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of times that conversation at home is like something that's like, you know, oh, we don't talk about money, or, you know, we're not going to disclose this, that, and the third. But my sister and I, like, we have such an open communication about it. And I'm really thankful that, you know, she is, I always say, I'm so glad that you're the older sister
Yeah.
because I get to learn from you so much.
Oh, that's sweet.
So it's like, you know, when I have questions and I need advice, I know I can trust her and I can ask her. And, you know, I think that's very important because you do have people out here, and you'll even see some pages out there, like you see some of that misinformation out there. And, you know, it's a lot of opinions and a lot of different, you know, ways and different methods to reach the end point. And so it can be overwhelming. But when you take yourself away from that and you're able to talk to somebody that you know has your best interest and you know that wants you to succeed and who's going to cheer you on from literally the beginning, you know, it makes a huge difference.
Growing up, how was money talked about in your house, or like what was the vibe around money in your house?
So growing up, it really was not like discussed. Like, you know, I knew my mom, I was part of a single family household. You know, my mom, she worked when I was younger. She did like a lot of, you know, overtime. I knew that sometimes there was like some struggle, you know, and as I got older, we never really had those conversations about, okay, how to pay a bill or, you know, those different things. Say like in my household, it wasn't really a money message. There wasn't like, it was like you go to work, you make money and you pay your bills, and then that's that. And then you get a job where they have good benefits so you can retire with like a pension, you know? Yeah. And so I just kind of always thought to myself growing up, it's just like, okay, get a job that's going to ensure that security when later down the line. It wasn't anything about investments or anything like that. My mom never had credit cards so I never really experienced like what a credit card was. My sister, again, she taught me about credit cards when I was in high school. I do remember like our senior year, they talked to us about like credit cards and how when you go into college, they're going to be chasing after you. Yeah. So that stuck with me. So I've always been pretty good with my credit cards. Everything else in regards to like, you know, borrowing money in regards for student debt, it was like, that was kind of something that was expected in my household. Like, okay, you're going to school, but I don't have any money for it, so you're just gonna have to borrow the money. It's just like the common story in many households in the United States. But I will say that through the experience that I have through this experience that I'm doing now, and even my sister being debt free, as a family, we all talk about, you know, finances now. And my mom has learned so much from us, and she's like, you know, encouraged me so much to like hit those goals, and she's super proud of me. And even, you know, she'll read some stuff and she's like, oh, that's a good idea. I remember like she called me last month and she was like, I've been on the phone all day trying to reduce some of my bills because of your post. And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's what it's about, because if you can't really impact the people that's closest to you, then.
We left off in 2020 where you finally decided, okay, this is actually going to be my year. And then of course the pandemic hit. So what, after saving up your emergency fund, what was your next step? Like, what did you start deciding your new goal or what you were going to do?
Okay, my new goal was to save for a vehicle. And I decided that, you know, I'm just tired of walking everywhere. And I think like, I was like, okay, well, if I have a vehicle, I can, you know, do some part-time jobs here and do like the DoorDash and Instacart and, you know, just help me make some extra income. And I have a friend who's like, has a used car and was like, well, if you want the car to me, I can sell it to you. And I was like, okay. So it's like, let me save up. So pretty much from October till December, I saved up money for a car, but I also saved like a little more for like the insurance. As we know, like it's a used car. So the expectation of like maintenance, when you register a new car, all those things. So I saved $4,800 for that, saved that much from October to December. Yeah. And it helped out with the stimulus check, the first stimulus check. And then I got a little bonus from work. And again, just doing the budget and just seeing where my money is going. Usually for like Christmas, I was definitely a person who was like, everyone gets a gift. You get a gift, you get a gift. I'm out of control. with it. And, you know, I just made a decision this year. I had started saving for Christmas in September, and I had saved, I think maybe around like $480. And I just started Xing people off, and I was just like, shoot. And it wasn't like, okay, I don't care for this person. It's just like, I'm so focused on what I wanted to accomplish. I was like, I didn't prepare for this properly, so I'm not going to put myself in debt, you know, to give a gift to somebody for the holidays, when I know for a fact, if I told them why I didn't give them a gift, they would be like, I understand, I support your mission. And I tend to be a more thoughtful person anyway. And, you know, I figure what I'll do is make sure for people's birthdays, I make their birthdays very special. And so, you know, I know for this year, 2021, for, you know, the people that I did not have on my Christmas list, I'm going to, you know, make sure I do something a little extra for them for their birthdays. I feel like people have gotten away from like cards and stuff like that. So one of my goals for 2020 is to send everybody that I care about a card for their birthday.
Aw, that's so cute. I like that. That's cool.
So, yeah, and you know, cards are inexpensive, like, and I think when we're all adults now, so it's not like we're expecting like, oh, you didn't get me a Christmas gift, you didn't get me a nice birthday gift. Just a simple fact that you thought of somebody and, you know, you reached out to them and you know, told them how much you care about them. I think that really speaks volumes.
Oh, I completely agree. I would always love a card. And it's like, it's not something you think of. It's not something you think about doing all the time, but making it like an actual effort to be like, okay, I'm going to reach out, but I'm going to reach out in a way that's like tangible instead of like a post or a text message. I'm going to send an act, because it shows that you put effort in too.
Exactly. Yep. You know, write your little message. You go to the store, you pick out a card. You got to go through like 10 to 20 of them to find the perfect one, and then write your little message. You got to ask your friend for their address for the 10th time.
Because who keeps an address book anymore? Nobody.
Right. And so I think after that, I was like, okay, I saved my money, you know, for the car. And then I was like, January, you know, it's time to start paying those loans off. And, you know, I organized them. I'm doing with, you know, the snowball method with the lowest amount of loan, and I'm just hitting them just like that. And I made my first payment last week of $600 towards my student loan. And I finally got my STEMI. So I got my stimulus check. I was like, yeah, but I didn't put everything towards my student debt. I did put like $100, and there's some things like around the house and some other things that I wanted to do for like my Instagram page that I'm going to use with the rest of the stimulus money.
Okay, we mentioned your budget. Before we share your budget and what you spend every month, how did you figure out how to put together a budget? Like, what was your first path? Was it Dave Ramsey, or did you find something else that worked for you?
Well, the first thing I always talk to is my sister.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, that's like the Cliff Notes. I just be like, if I don't want to research anything, she's my Google. But no, I actually did read Dave Ramsey's book, and, you know, I did talk to my sister about it. And so basically I just made a list of pen and paper. I started off with that, writing down everything that, you know, I spend money on for the month, and just, you know, the dollar amount, and then my income. And then when I realized, like, okay, you're spending so much money on going out to eat, then going out. So I was like, okay, you're spending so much money on, you know, takeout. You can minimize that, you know, don't spend $100, maybe do $30 a month. So then, you know, after I wrote down everything and I took a look at what I was spending my money on, then I went through those categories that were, you know, that I can have some control over, or more control over. And I just started to reduce the spending in those categories, you know, to help me reach my savings goal. You know, writing down, then I got the Mint app. I tried different apps just to see what works for me. I got a budget planner, which I really liked. And right now I'm doing like Excel sheets, the budget planner, and on the app, and it's just like, it's literally like ingrained in me. Like, you know, these expenses go get written down somewhere. You know?
You have 3 different things. So you physically write it down in the budget planner, then you upload it to a spreadsheet, and then you also use an app.
Yeah, so I use the Mint app.
Okay.
I tried different apps like the Good Budget app, the Mint app, and then I forget Dave Ramsey's his app. And then with the spreadsheet, a friend sent me a spreadsheet. And so I don't track my expenses on there, but what I started to do is just the monthly expenses toward the end of the month. So I can see on the spreadsheet, and it has like a homepage where it just calculates for the entire year as the year continues. So I found that really helpful too, because it does percentages. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, you don't really realize, like, for me, I spend 35% of my income on housing, you know? So it's like, man, I wish I could change that, but you know, you're in your lease and you have to do what's best for you. And it would be ideal to pay cheaper, but you want to be comfortable, you want to be safe, you want to, you know, not have to worry about commuting, all those different things. So for me, that amount on my rent, I'm okay with.
That's all that matters, because I think those rules of like the 50, 30, 20, I think they're kind of stupid, because it totally ignores what's important to you. So like for some people, they don't care where they live. They don't care what kind of apartment. They don't care about the location. So they may spend like 10% of their income on their housing. But if it's important to you and it's like high on your like best life list, then like who cares if you're spending 35%? You can cut back on eating out, which when I saw your budget, I'm impressed by how little you eat out and how low your food budget is. So guys, that's a good transition. Let's talk about what you spend every month.
Monthly, rent, of course, is around, I just re-signed my lease, but rent and water is included. So it's usually about $1,300. And I actually realized that using my dishwasher actually saves me like $10 a month. I was
$10? That's like
I know. I was like, what? I was like, what? How is that possible? When I saw my water bill, I was like, they made a mistake. It's supposed to be a little higher. And then I saw that the water bill and I was like, oh, wow. So using my dishwasher, believe it or not, has saved me like $10. And, you know, it's funny because like when I was in Peace Corps, we did everything, you know, like I had a bucket, I didn't have running water. So I would like, you know, like go get water from like, you know, outside in our water tank to do my dishes and stuff like that. So it just was something that was ingrained in me to always do like dishes in the sink, you know? And then one day I was like super lazy, and that super lazy lasted for like a whole month. And I was like, oh, I'm just use the dishwasher. And then when I got my rent, I was like, yo, this is amazing.
That's so funny.
I'm going to buy Chipotle with my $10.
That's hilarious. Do you think that like with your experience in the Peace Corps, do you feel like there are other ways it's made you more frugal?
Yes, I consider myself very minimalistic.
Yeah.
I'll take that back. Not very, but I consider myself minimalistic. Like actually the first year I moved back, like I didn't have internet, I didn't have a TV. I wouldn't have a TV today, but somebody, my godmother, just like, she found out that I didn't have a TV. She was like, that's not allowed. Like I said, I didn't have internet. I was used to not having those things, and just like being minimalistic in regards to like, before I always felt like I needed a lot more clothes and, you know, shopping a lot more often. And it's like, nope, I'm going to use these same 3 pants for work and I'm just going to rotate them, you know, and maybe I'll get a new shirt here and there, you know. So I really do think that experience has shaped me now. It has helped me with my, you know, my debt-free experience, because, you know, when I went over there, there were some of the luxuries that I was used to having, you know, back home, you know, I didn't have them anymore. So yeah, I remember when I came back home, I was sitting in the dark, and my mom was like, we have electricity, you could turn the light on.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, you know what, leave me alone.
Like, I don't need it, thank you very much.
I like to sit with my candles, leave me alone. No.
Yeah, that's so.
But yeah, so for that, back to my budget with my utilities. I have what they consider like a budget utilities for my electricity. So I pay $76 a month, and I can use as much electricity as I want. So that's why during the winter, I keep my heat on 75. People are like, okay, you're crazy. How do you keep your house that warm? But I love it. I have my internet bill. I got the cheapest plan, $35 a month. Mm-hmm. My food is where I know I can do better with my food. In a debt-free community, you'll see like people will be like, okay, I spent $200, but I really like food. So I usually spend between like $250, $300 to $400 a month.
Does that include eating out and groceries?
No, that's just groceries. That's groceries.
Okay.
Yeah, so it depends. It depends on the month. Sometimes, like, I do most of my shopping at like Aldi's, but every now and then I might go to like a Trader Joe's and, splurge on some things that I normally don't have in the house. I think I'm closer to $300. I have some of those months where, like you said, beans and rice. I go to my sister's house for the weekend.
Yeah.
Eat all her food. She likes to cook. So I'm just like, yes, if I go over there Friday night, I don't have to worry about dinner.
Oh my God.
They're all day Saturday, Sunday, I'll come back home after lunch. So I don't have to worry about dinner. So I'm like, okay, that saves me about $30 right there. No.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Does she know that she's part of your save money on your groceries?
Yes, she does. And she knows that when I get my car, I'm definitely going to come over more times for like Taco Tuesday, Fish Friday.
So funny. You're like, thanks, sis. You're helping me get debt free. Really appreciate it.
Yes. And she enjoys cooking, so it works out for everybody.
One additional person's really not that much. So
yeah. Eating out, I typically do less than $50 a month. It can be difficult, but the pandemic has made it a lot easier, especially like once you start doing Uber Eats and stuff like that, and they start adding them fees. You're like,
oh, expensive.
It's so expensive. I wanted to get Chipotle tonight, and I was like, okay, I don't want to, have to go over there and get it myself. It's not too far from my house, but I was like doing the on the app, and I was looking at the fees, and I was like, what? The Chipotle is more when you order offline and get it delivered than just going there. And so that $5 difference was like, you know what? I'm just gonna warm these fries up in the oven real quick.
Yep.
I'm gonna make me a little salad with the greens that's left in my refrigerator, the ones that always go bad, and that's gonna be dinner tonight.
There you go. Well done. That's impressive.
I was doing $1,200 towards my savings, $20 like for Google Play and Netflix. For my music, I love my music. That's something. If they charge $50 for, I'm gonna find it. It's gonna be in the budget. And then I have the rest of my money for things like gifts, donations, like medical, and then transportation. And so that's usually between like, I would say less than $300
for all of that together.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable sharing what you bring home a month?
Yes. So right now I actually will be having a pay raise. So, I would say in 2020, I was bringing home around 1,800 a pay period.
Okay. And then, so do you get paid twice a month?
Yes.
Okay. So then when you budget, do you just do that 3,600 and then you zero-based budget it? So you assign $1, because it sounds like your expenses pretty much are up to that 3,600.
Yes.
What would be your biggest piece of advice to someone who wanted to start out on the debt-free journey, or even just like getting their money right?
I will say the first thing I would say is just have that talk with yourself, like literally look yourself in the mirror and say, why do you want to do this? What is that? And I know that sounds like the most cheesy thing to say, but just really write it down. Look at yourself and say, why do you want to do this? Do you want to do this, or is it pressure from someone else? You have to find that inspiration within yourself to start this. And then once you realize, okay, boom, I have my why. I really say what was really helpful for me is actually building that community of people to really get me, riding my bike per se, like, okay, now I know I want to ride my bike. Okay, I got training wheels, and what happens? Somebody has to push you. You remember when you start riding a bike, somebody like your parent pushed you to give you that little nudge. So once you kind of find that network of or it doesn't even have to be a network, like one friend, like an accountability partner, a family member, even people within the debt-free community, is really helpful to really get you set up for success, I would say. Mm-hmm. And then I would say, take a look at your spending and just kind of forgive yourself. Take that moment to forgive yourself for, your past financial mistakes. And sometimes I like beat myself. I'm like, okay, shoulda, coulda, shoulda did this earlier. I wish I didn't take it that much. but you, at one point, you just have to stop that. And you have to say, you know what? I forgive myself for this. And I know going forward, now that I know better, I'm going to do better, you know? And even when you do, sometimes you might make a slip here and there, you know, the basics, you know what you have to do once you start, you know, building your budget, or, you know, start saving, paying off debt. Even if you're debt free, you want to start investing. Once you start that, and if you have a time where you might, you know, fall off, remember, you know how to do this, you know, you've done it before, just get back into it, you know, and just practice that forgiveness and get right back into it and have fun with it. You know, don't limit yourself from everything, especially in our age. You know, it doesn't matter if you're 20 doing this, 30, 40, or 50. Part of life, you know, is enjoying it. You know, it is sucked to spend all this time saving money and paying off debt, and you're in the house miserable and you don't get to enjoy, you know, the little things. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's a process. And if you're going to start, I think just having that conversation with yourself, why do you want to start this? And then boom, once you figure that out, you know, find that network. It could be a family member, a friend. It could be reading a book. It can go on to Instagram or YouTube and watching other people and their stories. But that right there is really going to help you succeed.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like that is sometimes the missing piece when people start their journey. Is they're like, okay, I know I'm going to start saving or doing whatever because I'm supposed to, like, because it's supposed to, like, that's how I do things. That's how you adult. That's how whatever. But if you don't have this like sexy, exciting image of what life's going to be like when you do it, when you money and what it's working you towards, and it's like, it's so easy to give up, because if you don't care, if you're not connected to that why, it doesn't really matter. And like, it's like, well, why do you keep going then? So
exactly. And I think, you know, it's like this idea that you have to be perfect, and it's like, no, you don't. I remember like the first time I made my budget, and I was like, oh man, I forgot to budget for contacts. You know, I was like, I couldn't see. So I was like, oh, that's $70. And I was a little bummed, but I was like, okay, you know, lesson learned. I'm not going to not budget next month because I forgot about $70, you know? Yeah, exactly. Like it's not the end all, you know, you just dust yourself off and literally try again. I know.
Right.
First you don't succeed. No, but yeah. So, you know, just, it's like anything. It's those ups and downs, that yo-yo. And then once you really master, you're going to be like, boom, boom. You're going to keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. And you're going to be on the roll.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it took me at least 6 months until I got a budget that really worked for me when I first started, because it's just like, you don't really know what you're doing, and like, you're not expected to, but it's just like you said, you just got to do it. You just got to start somewhere and get moving. So.
Right. Yeah. And you know, you'll find that, for example, like, okay, you're okay with taking an extra year to pay off your debt because you want to enjoy having $300 a month towards self-care and traveling or whatever. That's your decision. Your story is your story, and you have to do what's best for you. And, you know, part of this process is making some sacrifices, but also having those honest conversations with yourself and saying, okay, at the end of the day, is what I'm doing good for my overall well-being, you know? Mm-hmm. And so.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to say no to everything. You just have to pick and be intentional. Intentional.
I like that, intentional.
Intentional. I don't even know what I combine that with, like accountable and intentional, maybe.
That's it. That's the word. That's the word for 2021.
Intentional. Or actionable, either way. You can combine a lot of things with that. Yeah, it's all about like telling your money where you want it to go, and like making intentional choices so that you're good with it. You're good. You don't have to, like, what I want and what you want are totally different things. And what somebody else down the street could want is a totally different thing in their version of their best life. You know, it's all about what you want. So it's cool. One more thing before I let you go. What would you say your top 3 favorite resources are on how to money?
Resources. I'm definitely going to say, shout out, Debt Free Gonna Be.
Okay.
I followed her. Yeah, I followed her on my regular page. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, I could do this. But I really will say that for anybody that is, you know, interested and, you know, joining a debt-free community or just learning more about money. And then you have Instagram, those hashtags, you know, follow those hashtags, and then it would be like in your timeline all the time. And that really was what really got me going, was, you know, doing that and actually seeing it all the time in my timeline, and then removing some of the things that were like pop culture, like some of the celebrities off my personal page. And I would see more about money than I would about, you know, what this person was doing. So that was really helpful. As far as books, I love Dave Ramsey because I would say love him, but he has like pretty much the guy. It's like the go-to. And you can use, if you don't agree with everything he says, he has made a literally like money for dummies, like, you know, it's the basics. And, you know, once you kind of realize what your goals are and financially what you want to do, then you can pick, you know, what works best for you. And that, I read his Complete Guide to Money, but I know he has like the Money Makeover as well. Right now I'm reading Smart Women Finish Rich. I'm reading that.
Okay. I haven't heard of that one.
Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I forget the man's name, but it's a really good book. Another thing that I really like is, I think it's CNBC. I don't know, whatever that network. They have.
Are you talking about the Millennial Money or the CNBC?
Yes. Yeah. I saw that on TV once. I thought that was really cool. I like watching that. But some of those people, I'm just like, what? Like, their incomes were crazy. But it was motivation for me.
Yeah, it's a wide range too. And it's so interesting to see what people do with their money. And that inspired me to start doing this and like just talking to people about what they spend their money on. Because I've been sharing what I spend my money on for the last 3 years on the internet for everybody to read. And I'm like, you know, other people like talking about this stuff. So let's invite more people on and do this. So I really appreciate you coming on today. It was awesome talking to you about all the money stuff. Before we sign off, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at Timmya's Tiny Budget, Timmya. It's going to be down below. I appreciate if you guys, you know, give me a follow, hit me up in my DMs or whatever. Yes, whatever, but join me on my journey. I hope you're inspired and empowered. And thank you so much for, you know, making this platform and having other people, you know, on your page and, you know, letting us share our journey. It's definitely something I think, like you said, we need to discuss more. And I love to see, you know, people winning when it comes to money.
Same. And I could talk to people about money all day.
Yes.
So that was Timya's story, and I am so grateful that she joined this channel today for a video and for a quick chat. If you haven't already, go down into the link below and go follow her on Instagram. She's super responsive, so if you ever send her a message, she'll be sure to respond. But also, if you haven't already, be sure to hit the like button and hit subscribe so you can see when I have my next guest on this channel. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you are interested in being on the Clo Bear channel, be sure to let me know. You can leave me a comment or you can hit me up in any of my DMs and we'll make it happen. So thank you so much. Bye.